First of all, what is the use of volumes? Okay, and what happened without volumes? What is the problem it is? First, let me show the problem, and later we'll discuss about the solution for that. Now, first of all, let me start the instance. We'll understand the problem first. Now, let me start any container, and first, let me show as a diagram also. Let me start this. Cool. What happened, guys? Uh, what happened? There's three people only built it. Just a second. Huh? What is it? I don't have that mobile with handy. Okay, fine. Just a second. Huh? This is 105 only, right? 105 having a 9 more days. Just a second. Huh? Okay, they are joining. Cool. Cool, guys. Okay, now let's start the instance. Now let me draw the simple diagram. For example, it's a container. Okay. Inside the container, you have written some data. Like data means what? Whatever it can be, files, folders, and any data, like any container data, log data, or something. Okay, it can be anything. Now, like for example, some logs. Okay, either some configuration files. Okay, some configuration files. Some let's say some uh, files or whatever. The application generated some data, or else it's needed some inputs. Like you remember, right? Yesterday we did for the tomcat users.xml file, and those files you don't want to copy and build that. You can keep it the outside also. You can make the link with that file also. How and all that we'll learn today. Okay, like for that using the volumes. But let's understand the problem first. Now it's a one my container. Okay, I started one container. Inside the container I write some files. Now in case my container crashed, my container got deleted, what happened? What are the data I've written inside the container? What are the data I've written in the container? Now the data also will be lost. Now some scenarios, for example, you need a this container data for troubleshooting, and then some investigations purpose. Now in that case, if you lost the data, how will you get? You won't get it, right? Now that's the reason we need to take you know these data backup or persistent this data into some other place we need to back up this data. Now to back up this data, how to use that? Now for that we are using a concept called as volumes. Okay, to persistent the container data, we are using a concept called as volumes. How to create a volumes, how to use the volumes, and how what is the advantage of the volumes. Now that we are going to see that. First see this drawback of the containers, and then let's implement with the concept called as volumes with the containers data to take a persistently, to take backup of your data persistently. Now let me show that. Let me connect the instance. Okay, once you add it, next it's done. Now see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run one container. Let's say Docker run -it hyphen name Ubuntu one, my Ubuntu one image name, and Ubuntu, let's say bash or bin bash or something. Let's say what I do, I'll override this to my even bash will work and bin bash. Let's say the command will be Ubuntu is not there now. It will be even you don't need to do, but it will go by default. See where we are right now. We are in the inside the container. Inside the container. Now what I did, I'm gonna do something. Let me write some files. Let's see if I try to vi file. Now let's say sample.txt. Okay, there is no v editor. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do something like this. This is sample file. Is it in case my v editor I want, then you need to be installed that. That's we know already that we already done the figlet ubuntu sometime, right? Now see here, you can see there is a sample.txt file is here. Sample.txt file here. Now if it like as any files, like as you can create a number of files. Okay, now can write any data. Now this is I'm creating manually this data. Maybe application generate the data. Okay, that is a real-time scenario. For example, take a nexus, SonarCube, let's say Jenkins. All this, like when you create a new job, that job will be stored under the Jenkins home directory. If I create a Jenkins container, inside it will be stored the Jenkins container home directory. Right now, if I lost that container, all my Jenkins jobs, what are the Jenkins configuration I did, that I will lose it. But if I want to make it that persistently, we need to take that data backup. That is the advantage of the volumes, and that's what I'm gonna discussing. Okay. Now here I'm trying to generating a data manually. Like I'm gonna show you that anybody, like either application is generate the data or else some process is generate the data, or else like you manually configure some files or folders or something, any data. Okay, now see that. Now Docker, this is the example file. Okay, this is the example.txt. Okay, let me see this. See here, you have a data sample.txt, example.txt. It's clear, guys? Clear, no? Clear, no? Now, for example, if I exit here, for example, if I exit from here, now what happened? Like there is container is the container is sorry, yes, container went existed. Okay, if the container is existed, you can start the container again using the Docker start command, and container ID or container name you can use. You can start it again back and see again the Docker container will be up and running. In this case, then again we can log in inside the container Docker exe-it container ID bash. Now we are already inside the container. Now if you see this data, we have the data here. We have the data here. Like as if the container is stop and then start, the data won't last. Okay, be careful, that very important point. Okay, if container completely removed means now if docker ps -a. Okay, now let me remove the container docker rm -f. For example, some scenarios, like as what happened, right, in real time scenario. Sir, why we lost the container data? Maybe the node entire completely down. You can't able to start the node itself. Let's say for example, I'm saying all the nodes inside the container will be lost, right? Yes or no? The node which is running on the container which is running on the node, that everything lost. Like in real time scenario, how we are running containers, basically we're running like this. Hyphen rm rm. Now what do you mean that? I'll tell you. Okay, I'm going to run another container too. Let me write some data using hyphen rm. What is the use of that? Okay, echo already written, right? This is some data, something like that. This is I'm creating mother.txt file. Now I have this file. I have mother.file. If I exit this container, what happened? See docker ps. Okay, there is no ubuntu 2 container. Okay, and docker ps -a. There is no ubuntu 2 container. There is no ubuntu container. If the container stop, if the container stop, Now the hyphen rm option will be remove that container. It won't keep the running that it won't keep it in your stopping state. That hyphen rm option means if the container stop, please clean up the my stopped container. Okay, that option we are going to use in such cases. If what are the data, like there is a Madhu file. Now if I want to Madhu file, what are the previous container Ubuntu 2 container which I've written, the data I can't get that back actually. I lost the data, right? Now in such scenarios, like as if the container lost, you want to store the data persistently. You want to store the data persistently. For that, we are using a concept called as volumes. We are using a concept called as volumes. Are you got it, guys? Understand the problem here? Understand the problem here? Okay. Now, how this data? Now, these Docker volumes are different types actually. Okay, one is that, okay, like as you know, it will be stored in the some Docker area, and we are calling as a bind volumes. Okay, bind volumes means that will be stored in the your host mission path, and where the Docker volumes means now basically cd var lib Docker. If you go for, see, let me go to root user cd var lib Docker. Okay, if I go here, see there is a volumes concept here. At the volumes, there is these are the volumes by default it is contains. Okay, this is the data is there. If you want to create a volume, how do you create? Basically, Docker, okay, create volume name. For example, test volume. So create Docker volume create test. Now, see this Docker volume will be created now. Let me show you that. You can see the volume will be created this path. Under this path, when you create the command called as docker volume create, and the volume name is what? Test volume. Test volume. This is the test volume. This is the test volume. Now let me go to inside the container, like inside the test folder. Let's see, do we have any data? No, there is a data folder is created by default. Inside the data folder, do we have any data? Nothing. We don't have any data, nothing. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run a container with this volume. Okay, this we call as a container data, like as inside the container, like as docker area data. Now bind volumes I'll discuss. What is the bind volume? First let's understand the docker volume. Now you want to see the list of volumes are there. Docker volume ls. If you do docker volume ls, you will get to know list of volumes which you have. Okay, docker volume ls, docker volume ls. If you want to inspect that, even you can inspect this volume also. Docker inspect volume name. Now we'll see that later. And then now let's see that now how to use this volume. Now let's see, this is very important, guys. Docker like as docker run -it hyphen name. Okay, hyphen name, like ubuntu 3, this is a new container, and I'm gonna use that hyphen v means that is the call as a volume. If you want to specify the hyphen r hyphen v. Okay, hyphen v means volume. Hyphen v hyphen volume means that is also is a volume. Either you can use the hyphen volume or else hyphen v. Anything we can use. Sir, only one path I can volumate, right? Can I volumate the lot of like a number of path, number of files, different files means you can put a number of v's actually. This is a volume one, this volume, like a number of v's, and then the source, that is this is your host emission volume, and next is the some data. This is my inside the where it is container. Inside this is the container path. This is the your volume. This is the your volume outside of. Okay, now let's say you want to bash. Let's say for example, let's say. So if you see my data, the folder is automatically created here. Okay, when I create this hyphen volume, this file is this folder is not there by default. It will create for you. This folder is not there by default, will create it for you. And if you see, let's FNLTR. If you see here, we don't have any. I'm going to create some data. Echo. This is sample data. Some files I'm creating now inside this Ubuntu 3 container. Okay. Sample text .txt. Okay. Now see this. See this. Okay. Now see this. This is the file we have, sample text.txt file. Now I'm gonna exit this container. Okay, or else no, I do control PQ as of now. I'm not doing exit container. Let me show you again because there is I'm gonna show you some magic here. Okay, see here. This is the, if you can observe here, where it is storing here. Automatically the data is stored in my system, my root system, my volume area. This volume area where it is your host machine, where the Docker is installed. The data, the file came here. Earlier there is no files at all here. Not here, like here na, there is no files at all. Clear, right? Now see what are the file we created inside the container. The data came here. Now see here, cat sample text. This is the file where we created inside the container, but the container is automatically keep the data back up to your volume, in your volume. Is clear, guys? It's clear now? Understanding? Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open this file here. I guess in host machine I can open in a VA editor. Okay, this is fine. This is data written by in host machine. Some data. I'm saving this. Okay, I save this. Okay, I save the file. I save the file. Now next what I'm gonna do? Let's see Docker PS now. This is the container is running Ubuntu 3. Okay, like yes, let's say this is Ubuntu 3. Now let's go Docker exe-it. Now I am inside the container now. See this, to my data folder. Inside my data folder. Earlier how many lines I've written here, guys? Earlier how many lines I've written inside the container? Sample text. Not our host machine. Inside the container I'm asking. Inside the container I've written only one line, na? Okay. Now see this, what happens. See, this line I've written here. This line I've written from the host machine. That data also will come in here. Now if I'm going to add one more data. This is line written by container. Okay. Now let me append this data. Okay. I'm appending this data. Now see cat sample. Now see these three lines are written here. If I exit this container, I won't, if I will be stop. Okay. Now control PQ I pressed. Now I came out here. See here cat sample.txt. Okay. Now that line also came here. Even if I remove the container, let me remove the container. Docker rm -f, because it's running container forcible I need to remove, or else no, they don't remove, right? If stopped container you can use without f. This is the old container, that's fine because that's not using volume also. Okay, Ubuntu 3. Now it's see docker ps-e also. That is also gone. Ubuntu 3 is gone. Ubuntu 3 is gone. Is clear, guys? It's clear now. Ubuntu 3 also gone. Now next, let me see here the data will be there or not. See the previous one, what are the data is container written or host machine data, every data will be there in my backup. Are you got it? Got it, guys? Okay. Now what happened? I can use this data into new container again. Means, see, your father is save some, like, as your grandfather, let's say, don't say your father, like, say grandfather, he earns some, like, as some land, or money, like some properties he earned, and then he hand over to the father after he passed away, right? And like that, it will be like, as from your parents, the property is coming, belongs to you. The same way, containers also, the previous container is write some data that we can attach the new container, that attach to the new container if the container lost. Okay, you can, even though at a time two containers also will be share the same data, means, for example, in your home, your brother is there, your brothers are there, like two brothers are there in the home, or two sisters are in the home. Now, like, two brothers are earning, let's say, for example, both also we can keep it into one place for saving, let's say. Like that, two containers also we can return using the same volume also, that is also possible, that I'll show you in the tomorrow. But as of now, today, let's understand the, this is the container volumes. Now you can see that how to use the previous container which is given the volume, then how to attach to the new container. Now I'm going to run the new container with the different name, same volume, like, this path is your wish, but this volume is mandatory, test volume. The test volume, what is file contains, this file is content, this my data is the new one, like, either, like, for example, you written the different folder, for example, your wish, that is okay, whatever you want, you can read your wish. But in real time scenario, what happened, no, we'll give the same name, because, like, jenkins, for example, jenkins has the home directory always same, right? We won't change that, just to say you are understanding sake, because this my data is not there in the my ubuntu 4. Ubuntu 4 is the latest container, okay, that you can, this is the brand new container, okay. Now if you go to the my data one folder, if you see, the data, entire the data is copied here again. It will start from here itself again, this new data, this new container may write, start the writing from here itself, like, as fourth line from, okay. Now let's say, we can write the here into some, like, same sample file. It's clear now? Okay, guys, understand? Understand, no? Now if in case, if I exit this data, like, exit this container, if I exit, then what happen, immediately it will be stop the container. As if the stop the container, it will went to the stopped state actually. If you use that -rm, then it will be removed the completely, okay. For example, if I remove this, for example, stopped containers we can remove directly. And you remove the multiple containers using the space separator, using the space separator. Now see here, this is the container is running. Now I'm going to remove this also, if you guys are confused. It's nothing, it's a first one which we read. Okay, guys, understood now? Oh, Docker, um, PS, iPhone, yeah. There is nothing, container is running. If a new container will be run again, for example, let's say I'm going to running again this data volume, your wish. This is a brand new container again, fifth container. See, the data came here, my data one. If I go to my data one, you can see the file come here again also. Here, guys, now I'm going to show you that Docker volumes image, one image, then you will understand. Okay, if you see here, container, and this is the file system, okay, the host mission, this is the host mission, and this is the bind volume, means it's in your file system will be stored, and it's a volume, docker volume create, and volume name create, it will store in the Docker area, it will store into the Docker area. That one we just see, we saw that, right? And the bind mount, what is the bind mount means, I'll discuss that. What is the bind mount? What is the bind mount? Now bind mounts are I'm gonna exit from here. Like I'm gonna exit from the root user actually. Okay, because root user you need a sudo permissions, right? Okay, that's we don't want. Like I'll gonna come out from here. Now let me run here. Like as Docker. Let me run the one container here. I'm gonna run the one new container here. Like as I'm gonna run the Ubuntu 6 for example. Let's say I'm gonna use the one volume here. See, I'm not creating volume here. Even without creating volume also, we can create a volume also. Like if I specify the V, if there is no path, then it will create a path. Let me try that. Okay. Now this is in the present working directory. You can specify the dot also, or else you can specify the your complete path also. Your wish, like whatever the way you specify. Or else you can do the dollar braces PWD. PWD means present working directory. I'll show later. Okay. Now this is the path. Okay. Next, it is in a container data. My um, file something. What are the whatever you wish to, okay? Because to understand, if I give the same folders, you will be confused. That's the reason I'm using a different names. Now, whenever you specify the bind volume means like you are using this, directly v and then hash. Whenever you see the hash in the volume start, that called as a bind volumes. Okay, that called as a bind volumes. Okay. Volumes are easy to manual. You can use the CLI too. Maybe hyphen for mode. You can use both options. Basically, there is an option like when I was read bind volume, bind modes, learn about the bind modes. Like this. Like slash it will start basically somewhere it is like this present working directory. Sub command we can use like this. Any directory if we specify like this, note that we call as a bind mode actually. Earlier they are mentioning the slash actually. Now they are mentioning container at like slash at target or any folder if you specify the specific path. Now that we call as a bind mode. If you just give the volume name, that is a go for the Docker area. Now where it will store, like for example, let's say I'm gonna keep it this. Or else you can, if you want to create a same file also, you can my files, that the same file will be, it will be created, the same folder will be created where we are right now, here inside the containers. Now let me go to the my files actually. Inside the my files vi, okay, like as vi doesn't available here. Like let me, this is my data. Okay, I'm going to show you that what is the bind mount, bind volumes or bind mounts. Okay, .txt file. Now see here, there is a one file, it's a one.txt file. If I exit here, the container will be lost here. Docker ps, it's not running, it is in the stopped state. Okay, because of we are not using a hyphen rm option. Now if I go and see here, you don't need to go to the var lib docker volumes my underscore data. You don't need to go there because that volume is direct from your end, your path. Now in case if you uninstall the docker also, the data will be still there. If you uninstall the docker, the data will be lost if you're the var lib docker. It's clear now? Clear guys? Wherever you want, you can specify that path and store your data. For example, you have some configuration files. You want to mount, you want to volumate that files also, you can use this way. It's clear now? Understand? Whenever you see the volume hyphens, like as any volume or any path, okay, any folder and any path, if they specify, that called as a bind modes or bind volumes. Bind volumes like this. Okay, any folder, any file, any specify this. This should be start with the your current path or something, some path. That's it, not the volume name, some path. If you specify the volume name, that is we call as the Docker area volumes. Docker area volumes. Is clear, guys? Clear now? Understand? What is the bind volumes? What is the Docker area volumes? How to create a Docker area volumes, and how to create a bind volumes, and then how to use the existing volume to another new container. That's what we learn today. And next, what we are going to learn? Next, we are going to learn the sharing the volume with the multiple containers. Sharing volumes to multiple containers. I already make a document in 5 ways of volumes usage. Now you guys can go through it all. Okay, fine, cool, guys.